So let's get started with the first item here, and that is, what if you want to download something that is not the latest version of the software? And we'll use pdfToolbox as an example. pdfToolbox is 9.4, that's the current version. What if you want to download something like a version 8 or maybe, heaven forbid, a version 7, or is that possible? How do I do that? How does that work? Well, this is the procedure, and it doesn't look very complicated, and there are some advantages to some of these steps in the procedure, even if you don't want a previous software version. So what you need to do is create an account. And you can create an account either on the 4ps.com website or on the calasoftware.com website. Then you log in, you go to the product, you click on download all versions, and you download the version that you want. Now, that was very quick, but the reason it's very quick is that I prefer showing this rather than having just slides about it. So what you can see now is Safari. In Safari, I went to calasoftware.com, but like I said, this is the same for 4ps.com. And what I was talking about is you need to log in or create an account. That's the easiest way to do things. Creating an account has another very nice advantage. Maybe you know that if you go to our website and you download something, there is this form that you have to fill out, and then you get an email with the link to the product that you download. Again, that's how it works for Calas. It's also how it works for the 4Ps website. Well, if you create an account once, then afterwards you can just log in. So that's what I will click here. If you don't have an account, you can use register. If you forgot your password, there is an option for that as well. But if you have an account, you can log in, and you will see that I don't have to fill out information again. As soon as I log in, that will be reflected on the website. I have a link here for my own profile where I can change my own information. And then when I go to a product that I'm interested in, so I could go to pdfToolbox, and maybe today I'm interested in the CLI, and we go to the download button. This is where, if you don't have a profile, this is where, if you click this, that you would get this download form that I was talking about. Well, in this case, you don't get a download form. You get this nice page with all of the download links on there immediately. Yeah. So that's already an advantage. The second advantage is that at the bottom of this page, you have this link called All Versions. And All Versions shows me which previously released versions of the software are available. And you can see that there are some versions of 9.x, and typically we try to keep, for the current major version, we try to keep whatever was released meanwhile on there. And then I also have an 8.3, and I think if I go back, yes, I even have a 7.6, 7.5. So here you have all of these versions, and you can just download them and then install them in the regular way. The version numbers that you will see here might differ a little bit from product to product. pdfToolbox Desktop, for example, might have different version numbers in that list than pdfToolbox CLI. That's because not everything is released necessarily for the same version. Sometimes there are hot fixes, small fixes in a particular flavor of the software, and so the version numbering might differ a little bit because of that. But you can see the whole list, you can download what you want, and you can start using it from there. Now, there are a few things that are worth pointing out, so let me go back to this presentation for a second. First thing is, when you download this version, a version 8 or a version 7, for example, and you install that on your system, You can typically install that in parallel. So on Windows, you can normally choose the installation location. On Mac with the installer, you cannot always do that. So it might be, it's typically smart, and that's what I typically do when I install software like this. Rename the folder where you have pdfToolbox 9 installed at the moment, run the installer, let it install it in the default location, and then you can rename your folders the way you want them. This is entirely possible. Running them next to each other is entirely possible. In fact, if you look at my system, I have an 8 and a 9. So the 9 is what I have running. I can launch the 8 at the same time if you want. That's not really a problem in that sense. So you can install them next to each other, and then you can run them independently of each other as well. They both have their own set of preferences, so normally they should not interfere with each other. That's one point. But there is an important point on licenses and licensing in general. As you probably know, if you've worked with different versions of pdfToolbox, for example, the licenses for different major versions are not the same. When you're using pdfToolbox 7 and you upgrade to 8, or you're using 8 and you're upgrading to 9, then you need different licenses to work with the software. So licenses for all of the Kalas products are version specific. Not minor version, but major version specific. So as long as you stay within the same major version, you have 9.0 or 9.2 or 9.4, your existing license will of course cover all of those. But there is a difference between 8 and 9. If you've purchased 9 and for some reason, maybe because you found a problem or there is something you want to test, for some reason you want to install version 8 and work with that, then either you can use a trial license for that, so you can activate version 8 and get the normal 15 days trial period for that version, or you'll have to contact us in order to request licenses for that previous version. Okay. Normally when you buy something today, we would deliver version 9 keys. If you ask us to do a change of platform, for example, then we will also normally give you version 9 keys. If you need keys for something older than that, then please inform us when you make your request. What is also important is that from a support point of view, we normally have a policy of supporting the 2 last versions of the software. So typically 8 and 9 should not be an issue. You saw that I have both on my system. That's because we still get lots of customers who also have version 8 running in a production environment, for example. And it's important for us to have that because profiles created in 9 will not work in version 8. So for support reasons, we have to keep those older versions. We typically have still older versions of the software as well, and you're definitely still welcome to ask questions about those. But keep in mind that even going back to version 7, for example, you're already going back quite a number of years in history, and there are definitely advantages in upgrading to the latest version of the software, just so that you keep that in mind. For certain products, those are so old that we don't have them as a regular download on the website. And you saw that it stopped with version 7. If you still need a download for pdfToolbox 5 or 6, for example, then let us know and we will see what we can do to help with that. Those versions should still be available, but they're not available on the website. So just get in contact with support at kalasoftware.com or support at 4ps.com, and we'll help you in that way.